So I'm not going to read from my book, because my book is over there. It's very short. When it arrived, I thought it was very skinny, and I'm not going to read from it. If you want to read it, you can read it, but I'm not going to read from it. I can't see it anymore. So I'm going to read a completely different story, which is called How I Became a Bruce Lee, and I renamed it yesterday, and now it is called Book Bugs. It's kind of about my journey. I always wanted to be a writer. I wrote my first fable at the age of 11. I recited it at a parent-teacher conference. 32 mothers, their heavy bodies squeezed into tiny chairs, smiled at me. I looked at my father. His elbows were planted into the green scratched surface of the desk, his forehead sweating, his eyes fixed on my lips, his own lips silently voicing, "You are fat," said the bee, "you can't fly." "You too fast," said the snail, "you will die. I own my house." Then came a mouse, it ate the snail and wiggled its tail. The bee got mad, it soon dropped dead. I paused to get some air, and the mothers clapped. I looked at their fat arms, they flapped like wings. I wanted to shout, "It's not the end!" "It's okay," said my father, buying me a chocolate ice cream that night. "Crowds are ignorant. You will be a great writer one day, a Dostoevsky, and you, Dostoevsky." I saw tears in his eyes. Clumsy and unfit, I had problems with math and never got roles in school plays. The fable came out of nowhere. "But the bee killed itself," I cried. "It stunned the mouse. Out of desperation, they will never know." "They loved it," said my father, wiping tears and ice cream off my chin. "It's called differences in perception. They'll be telling your friends about you. You'll be the star tomorrow. You'll see." "You're a nerd," Sergei Bichkov said the next day. He was a blue-eyed boy and my crush since kindergarten. "Only nerds write fables." Lena, Sveta, and Igor drew a big bug in my math book. My best friend Lola shared her cheese sandwich with my arch enemy Nina. Only Fyodor, my neighbor, played with me after this. Fyodor was a nerd too. He liked bugs and books. You'd think I'd learn my lesson, but no, I kept writing. For 25 years I wrote poems, essays, dramas, diaries, novels, and invented new genres in secret. For 25 years I didn't tell anyone I wrote. I didn't have any readers and I didn't care. I was too busy writing. Then something clicked. I wanted to share it. I gave Fyodor my novel. "You should write short stories," he said. "This is too fucking long. Who needs fucking Harry Potter?" If I became a closet writer, Fyodor became a closet gay. All Russian immigrants of my generation were a closet something. Fyodor settled in San Francisco after a career in the sex industry in Amsterdam and a brief marriage to a talented entomologist in Missouri. He lived alone and worked at the public library. He had an impeccable literary taste and loved quoting classics and rebels when drunk. He was drunk most of the time. "Drink. You will open the doors of perception," said Fyodor, and pulled a volume of Pessoa off his bookshelf. "Here. If a man only writes well when he's drunk, I would tell him, get drunk. And if he said to me that his liver suffers because of that, I would answer, what is your liver? It is a dead thing that lives as long as you do, while the poems you write live forever." So I listened to Fyodor and moved on to short stories and whiskey. Short stories are fun. Think this one. It will be over before you know it. In fact, it's almost over. Just like my book, like life, no commitment. Who wants commitment? I drank whiskey and wrote short stories about death and love. Well, I knew it wasn't too original, but both troubled me. Love, not that much. I was married. "You should clean the house instead of writing and drinking," said my husband. It wasn't that he was not supportive. The house was dirty. My stories became shorter and shorter. The house became dirty and dirtier. My drinking problem became more and more serious. My last story was about a little lonely monster bug. It lived in a faraway galaxy on a faraway planet. He lived to read my stories. His name was Periwinkle. Then he died. I stopped writing and drinking and contemplated various ways of killing myself. I didn't start cleaning and I didn't die though. I joined a gym instead and started to lift weights. Lifting weights felt good. You had to think about so many things. You had to remember to breathe in and out properly. Alignment was important. My alignment sucked. And I did crunches, lots of crunches to get a six-pack. And I got it. That's what I love about crunches. You do 400 crunches, you get a fucking six-pack. That's what Bruce Lee did. I found it on the internet. Seriously, the guy had 1% body fat, essentially no body fat at all. So I started to do 400 crunches as I couldn't write, and I had to kill the pain by inflicting some other kind of pain. It's all Dostoevsky's fault. Russians live of suffering. When we stop suffering, we suffer from the lack of suffering. I started to get ripped. Before that, I was big and fat like a snail, sat on my butt and wrote about death. Not anymore. I pumped iron. I got six-pack and stuff. I looked like a model. Well, almost. Not really. But my house was dirtier than ever, and my husband didn't care. He was proud of my accomplishments. Fire engines beeped when I walked down the street. I sometimes got free stuff. Strangers invited me to parties. I felt loved. I felt like a blonde Bruce Lee. "What are you doing with yourself?" asked Further. "What about writing?" "Fuck writing," I said. "What's in it? Headaches, fears, and family problems." The bee was right, the snail was dumb, and the mouse is coming. Life in short and miserable manner. Idiots and women are vain. Lonely bodybuilding. Sorry, Further. Sorry, Father. Fuck Dostoevsky with his suffering. He didn't have a six-pack. Fuck suffering. Fuck writing. Fuck books. Further looked at me and poured himself more whiskey. "No offense to Bruce Lee," he said. I didn't know the guy, and he looked awesome. "But you cannot pull out this fuck book thing. You have a book bug in your blood." "There is no point," I said. "I don't care about my personal immortality. And what is the point in me writing? What cool way to do? Brittany, my teenage neighbor, keeps writing essays about making a difference in this world. What difference do you think my stories will make?" Further had another drink and then said, "For people who read real literature, it is harder to shoot other people." Who said that? Well, someone did, and he was damn right. You can tell your Brittany about things and how things got screwed up when we were kids. Drugs and shit, communism, brain fucking religion, this sort of stuff. Maybe Brittany will do better than me. Have a drink. Where is my six-pack? Where is my husband? Where is my house? Where is the iron? What is that book? Theodore was right. If you are born with a book bug in your blood, you are screwed. You can sit in the closet all you want. You can do crunches, but your bees, snails, and periwinkles never leave you. six-pack or not. You will be suffering. You will love your suffering. You will end up with an ira like that, a rotten liver in a dusty little apartment with no bed and with a ceiling-high bookshelf. And that is probably the only happiness that you'll know and the only difference that you will make. Here is to book buds. Thank you very much for being here for the reading. Thank you for the writers and readers, and for the readers of the writers, and for the readers of the writers, and the writers of the readers. And have a drink, and have some cheese pies, and read some books, and don't read the books. And I mean, it was just a great evening, and thank you all for being here. It was very special to me, and I will remember that. Thank you.